My help comes from God, based on Psalm 121. Have you ever felt lost, directionless, like no one could help you? This story will touch your heart deeply, because when all seemed lost, heaven opened up. Don't go anywhere. Stay until the very end, because what happens in the last few minutes is a true miracle. And if you love stories that strengthen your faith, subscribe now and hit the bell so you never miss a new message of hope. Samuel was just a 10-year-old boy. He lived with his mother in a small house at the foot of a hill. Every morning before school, he would go outside and lift his eyes to the mountains, looking up toward the sky. One day, his mother fell seriously ill. There was no money for medicine or doctors. With a heavy heart, Samuel ran to his favorite place on top of the hill, where he often talked to God. There, raising his hands toward heaven, he repeated what his grandfather once taught him. I lift up my eyes to the mountains. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. Tears streamed down his cheeks, but in his heart, his faith was unshakable. He knew someone was listening, and even though he didn't know it yet, the miracle was already on its way. That night, while Samuel slept clutching his Bible, a stranger knocked on the door. He was a man with a calm face, carrying a worn backpack and a walking stick. His clothes were dusty from the road, but his eyes shone with a peace that didn't seem of this world. Samuel's mother, weak and barely able to open the door, cracked it open just a little. "Excuse me, ma'am," the man said softly. "The Lord sent me this way. He asked me to come here." The woman, too tired to argue, let him in. The man took out a small bottle of oil, warm bread, and an envelope with money from his backpack. Who are you?" she asked. "Just a traveler who listens to God's voice," he replied, smiling with a deep calm that touched the soul. That very night, he prayed for her. He anointed her with the oil and read aloud Psalm 121. His voice strong but full of love. "He will not let your foot slip. He who watches over you will not slumber." At dawn, the man was gone. No one knew where he had gone or how he disappeared so quickly. But Samuel's mother, she woke up standing, healed, and filled with new strength. Samuel knelt down, looked up at the sky, and said, "Thank you, because you do listen." Miracles like this happen when faith is stronger than fear. Who was that man? Was he an angel? A messenger sent from God? Since that morning, Samuel's life changed forever. His mother, fully recovered, returned to work. The news of the mysterious visitor spread throughout the village. Some said he was a missionary, others thought he was a wanderer. But the oldest among them whispered something different. That man had the glow of someone who has been with God. Samuel, meanwhile, never stopped going to the hill every morning. He climbed up, looked at the sky, and repeated with a conviction that could move even the stones. "The Lord is your keeper. The Lord is your shade at your right hand." One day, while praying, he felt someone watching him. He turned his head and saw an old man from the village, Don Ezekiel, a widower and bitter man, whom Samuel had never seen smile. "What are you doing here every day, boy?" the old man asked in a rough voice. "I come to talk with God," Samuel answered simply. Don Ezekiel scoffed. "And what does he tell you?" "That I'm not alone, and that he watches over me." The old man fell silent. No one had said that to him since his wife died. And without knowing why, he sat down beside Samuel. For the first time in years, he closed his eyes and let the silence speak to him. Sometimes, God uses the smallest to touch the hardest hearts. Do you want to know how this child transformed the life of the loneliest man in town? Since that day, Don Ezekiel began climbing the hill with Samuel. At first, in silence. then asking questions, finally praying. What seemed impossible was happening. A heart that had been closed to love and faith for years was starting to soften. The old man, who hadn't spoken to anyone since he lost his wife, now looked forward to every morning to meet the boy. One morning, while admiring the view, Samuel asked, "Don Ezekiel, did you ever love God?" The old man lowered his head, holding back tears, and answered, "Yes, when I was young. But when I lost everything, I believed he had forgotten me." Samuel, still looking at the mountains, said, "The sun shall not harm you by day, nor the moon by night. God didn't forget you, Don Ezekiel. You were just waiting for the moment to come back home." Those words broke something inside the old man. For the first time in decades, he cried, not from pain but from relief. And through his sobs, he whispered, "Thank you, son, for reminding me who my true keeper is." The child's faith had awakened hope in a weary soul. Want to know what miracle happens next? When the whole village begins to notice what's happening. Visits to the hill were no longer just a thing of one or two people. Little by little, other villagers started coming up too. First, it was the children, curious to see old Ezekiel, the man with the always stern face, laughing alongside a boy. Then mothers with sick children. Then parents without work. Then young people feeling empty inside. And so, without even realizing it, Samuel became a bright flame in the middle of the darkness. He didn't preach, shout, or impose anything. He just prayed. And his constant prayer, his simple faith, attracted broken hearts like a magnet. One day, while the group gathered on the hill, a woman shouted, "My daughter is healed. She's been fever-free after 3 days of praying here." Everyone fell silent, then burst into joyful celebration. For the first time, Don Ezekiel raised his voice in front of everyone. "The Lord will keep you from all harm. He will watch over your soul." The words, trembling on his lips, seemed to fill the air with an invisible but powerful presence. That day, the village understood that God had never been far away. They were just waiting for someone brave enough to seek him. What will happen now that faith has ignited throughout the community? And what does the mysterious man with the backpack have to do with all of this? That night, the whole village gathered for a vigil on the hill. Candles flickering, whispered prayers, soft songs rising to the sky. The air felt different, something sacred. No one wanted to leave. Samuel, sitting next to Don Ezekiel, lifted his eyes toward the stars and murmured, "I will lift up my eyes to the hills. Where does my help come from?" And as if the heavens answered, a figure appeared from the shadows. It was the same man with the backpack, the one who had visited their home some time ago. He walked calmly, like someone returning to a beloved place. But this time he wasn't alone. By his side walked a group of people, each carrying a staff, a backpack, and the same glow in their eyes. Samuel stood up without fear and ran toward him. "You came back," he exclaimed. The man smiled and placed a hand on Samuel's shoulder. "God sent you to light a flame, and you did. Now others will come to carry that light to many more places." The villagers surrounded them in awe. Don Ezekiel fell to his knees and whispered, "He will watch over your coming and going, now and forevermore." The village had changed because one child believed when no one else did. But the story isn't over yet. What mission awaits Samuel now? The man with the backpack gathered the village and spoke for the first time with a calm, clear voice. "Samuel has sparked a flame that will never go out. You haven't just been witnesses. Now you are the guardians of this light." Everyone listened with their hearts in their throats. "Faith was never meant to hide away on a hill," he continued. "It was made to walk the streets, enter homes, and heal hearts. And you, Samuel, are called to carry that flame beyond these mountains." Samuel looked at Don Ezekiel, who smiled at him with teary eyes, then at his mother, who nodded proudly. "What if I'm afraid?" Samuel asked, his voice trembling. The man knelt down to Samuel's level and replied, "The Lord will watch over your coming and going, now and forevermore." With those words, he handed him a small wooden cross. "This is not a lucky charm," he explained. "It's a reminder of who your help truly is, always." That night, Samuel decided he would leave with them at dawn. He didn't know where they would go first, but one thing he knew for sure: God was going with him. Are you ready to see how this mission of faith, hope, and purpose unfolds? At dawn, Samuel set off with the group of travelers. The hill was left behind, but the flame he lit there never went out. Don Ezekiel became a new pillar of the village, organizing outdoor prayers and teaching the children to read the Psalms. His mother, restored to health, opened a small community kitchen where no one went hungry, saying, "God fed me when I needed it most. Now I will do the same for others." From time to time, letters arrived written by Samuel, filled with drawings, prayers, and stories from the villages he visited. And in every letter, one phrase was always repeated: "I lift up my eyes to the mountains. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth." With pure faith, Samuel walked dusty roads, forgotten villages, and broken hearts, reminding everyone of what the world had forgotten, that the keeper of our souls never sleeps or tires. And you who watched this story, remember, no matter how tough the journey or how high the mountain, your help doesn't come from people. Your help comes from God. If this story touched your heart, please subscribe and hit the bell. Every week, we share stories of faith, miracles, and hope. Share this video with someone who needs to remember they are never alone.